Day one, so just today we're going to go over account setup, benchmark windows, adding students, creating some groups, adding students to those groups, and then initiating the benchmark testing. And then we'll show you where to enter scores. How to follow along, you can go ahead and open up your browser as usual. If you need help with anything, we have our customer service information on the right side there. Anytime, you can always reach out to us at support@easycbm.com. And then we're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Pacific time to help you live. Cool. So just session one today, set up your account and run benchmarks. This time of year, that's mainly, the main things you're going to be using. Usually later on in the semester, we'll kind of get to the interventions and progress monitor measures and that sort of thing. So that's what we'll cover in session two. Anything we don't cover today. Cool. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the benchmark window settings. Basically, so the first thing that you really need to have set to start initiating benchmarks is going to be your window ranges set. And now we do have a default recommendation for these, as you can see. Uh, the design team recommends 20-day windows. Some schools do benchmark, or specialists do benchmark throughout the year. So as we get deeper into this, we'll talk about kind of the importance of setting these ranges and what dates to set them at. The biggest thing that is probably most importantly is the percentile lines that you see trend on the graphs. Those are going to be connected to these dates, and the opening date of each seasonal range is when those lines will start. Those percentile lines represent the national norm, so it's nice to kind of have them start at the right date and see where the trend is, and then you can make quick comparisons as we move through there. So let's see. So before we dive into that, the first thing we're going to want to do is add a student. Now to add a student, you're going to click on the students button, go into the tab, and I'll guide you through this here real quick. And you can kind of see it on my screen. So first thing we always do, click on the Students tab. Now you can see I have two students already. And this is if you're just going to do one at a time, go ahead here and you can enter anything you like for the ID number. If you don't enter an ID number, the system will automatically populate one for you. And so we can do that. Now these other five options are optional. You can, if you feel like you need to track these stats, you can and put these in for the student. If not, you can just go ahead and leave them blank. It's totally up to you. And then when you're done, just click the create button. All right. Nothing too complicated on that one. And then you can see now that we have that, you can go ahead and see that the profile's been created. Oh, sorry, that was we'll see the new student. You can see the profile's been created and they don't have any testing or anything quite yet. Next one we'll roll to is once you have that student added, fill in those student details. So that's how you do it if you're a light customer, or if you just need to do a quick add. One of the main benefits of having the deluxe features is the bulk roster upload. Basically, what this is going to do is make it so you can do a whole roster. And some of you may have done this before, but it's really helpful. It's something you want to do right at the beginning of each semester, adjust your roster, and we'll get into advancing your students' grades later. But that's one of the main things we do in the fall account prep that the system can't do is advance if you had students that were in fifth grade last year, you'll move them to sixth. They were in second grade to third, so on and so forth. So we'll guide you through a quick setup on this one. So if we head back to here, so what we want to do, head back to the Students tab, and at the main thing here, we want to see Upload Student Roster. You're going to go ahead and click on that. Now, what we always recommend is to click on the My Students template. If you already have students in the account, it's going to populate them to this download automatically. So you can adjust and edit them. You can remove them if they're not there anymore, if they were an old student. Or if you don't have any students, then at least download the template with all the correct um, columns and all the correct verbiage to make sure that when you do download it and that everything is correct. So what you do is just click on that. You can see here it will download. We'll go ahead and pull one up here.
Do I click on all the students or is it just automatically going to take my students from light to put them in deluxe?
So your light just the only thing when you bought that deluxe subscription, it just unlocked the features. So your account will stay the same. So yeah, your students should already be in here.
Oh,
Since they're
okay.
in that student list that was right here. Anyone in this student list, when you go ahead and click on that, will be in that. It's a CSV, but if you have like Excel, that's usually like the main one. It'll populate in depending on what your school's using. So we can take a
I
look at
won't.
that real quick. So you can see here, I had two students in there, so those, or three students, so those populated there. You can go through and edit these, you know, at your leisure to update the grades. If you exported a CSV down the road with all of the test data in it, you'll see how this area will have all the testing data, but we'll get into that later. So yeah, this is great. So let's say you want to add somebody here, you can, punch in, let's say you want to use their ID numbers that they actually have, you can use those, or you can just make up your own ID numbers just for this system. And once you have this fully edited and are sticking to the verbiage and all the different nomenclature there, and you know you're feeling everything's good, you're just going to do the usual. I don't know if you can see this on my Mac, but you're just going to need the usual save as or save and save it back to your downloads folder there with all your edits.
So I can put students in here
That's
rather
usually with
than,
Deluxe, we recommend, especially if you have a large class size. This is for anyone that's going to have, 30 kids, or let's say we have a specialist or a psychologist that's working with multiple classes. Sometimes they have, 10 students in six classes. So
Mhm.
this is just a really much easier way to go in, edit everything, get everything squared away. And then when you're done, you just come here and choose the file and you find the one that was there. And then once you have it pulled up, you just hit open. And then once it's here and you can see it, it's the right file, you're just going to hit the import. And we didn't have one in there, so that's going to read like that. And then boom, and then it will load it all up, and you'll see it all your whole class list here. So that makes it much speedier. One of the biggest benefits if you have big classes of using the deluxe features. All right. So the biggest thing with these is you just want to make sure that you fill in the templates exactly and follow these guidelines. If you do upload it and you get an error, it's usually just because a letter was a little off or a number wasn't right, so just check those out if you get an error. What's cool is we do have one of the error features. Some of them will tell you, oh, look in this column, this is what was wrong and how to
For
fix it. Returning deluxe members, which would technically kind of, I think, be for you, Cheryl. That you're kind of a returning light, but just using the features, following the same steps. And then you're just more in the updating, taking students out, and then advancing grades, for the new
right.
year.
Okay. I had to do that last year for the late
Cool.
version.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So your experience with that one. And then one of the biggest things I want to show here. So if let's say you did this roster upload and you take a student off and then you upload the new roster, that student will just disappear from your student list, but it actually just deactivates the profile. So let's say that student came back the next semester, re-enrolled, and you needed that data back. We can reactivate that for you.
Okay,
Um,
good.
Now, the main difference that we like to make sure everybody's sticking with, I'll go back to here real quick, is that that's this red trash can here. So this would be, if I click on that, that's going to ask me to deactivate. So you can do that manually. Now, we do have to have an option to fully delete a student profile to get all the data out of there, permanently delete it, especially if a parent asks, request that. So we do have that by a federal mandate. And if you go into the student's profile and scroll all the way down, you can see here in the danger zone that this is
Mhm.
the delete button. So if you delete from this area, it will permanently delete the student's profile, and the testing data will not be recoverable.
I have a question because we have some students that have graduated and gone on.
Hmm.
Um, so and would they still be part of that 200 or is it just the ones I have checked for this year?
Good question. It's the 200 will only hit to this list here. And that's activated. So we do have a lot of accounts that have been with us for, 5, 6 years that have their deactivated list is pretty heavy. I'd say, it's reaching in the 300, 400s. But their active list is under 200. So yeah, good
Okay.
question. You can continue to keep those deactivated and let that go as high as it needs to be.
Okay, that's good because I didn't know if I had to go in and delete all these old students, and that would be something I really
Yeah,
don't have time for right
some of the
now.
lists are pretty, yeah, pretty large. So this also comes into play. Like sometimes if you need a student reactivated, we'll
Hmm.
ask for like an alphabetical list. We do have a reactivate all button. So like in your case, you probably wouldn't want anyone to hit that. So make sure that they're using that alphabetized list to do it one at a time, so we don't give you a huge list to go pick through afterwards. Why groups matter? Grouping will be the next one. So basically, the important part about groups is the number one thing. Um, Once you're done with benchmarking, because the system will auto assign the benchmarks to every student in the corresponding grade. And we'll talk about that a little bit here in a few more slides. One of the in-depth processes that. But the biggest thing is if you want to assign online progress measures, the student has to be in a group. The only way you can assign those to the system for them to take online is to a group. So you'd have to put them in one. So that's the number one thing that they're used for. The second thing that we'll get into a little bit when we get into the data portion is that you can find the item level data and in the group reports. And in this item level data, it will tell you like the type of question that the student missed in certain measures. So if it was like math, it would say you could scroll down and look at the whole report and it would say there was 30 questions and these students missed, these four and they were, algebra and geometry, or these ones were
Oh, that'll
fraction.
be helpful.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things. It's a little buried. I'll show you how to get to that, but I say those are the main two things that we recommend setting up groups for. So you can assign those progress measures and then find that item level data that kind of helps you, gives you a good lead as you're designing the intervention, the curriculum.
Um, so like groups, would that be a grade? Like what grade they're in
That's a good
or
question. So we kind of left it really flexible, so you can kind of, group them however you want. As I kind of mentioned, like specialists, if they're working with, a class full of 10, sometimes we'll see, oh, there's the teacher's name and it's this hour, fourth period, and it's got these 10 students. Um, some you'll just working with one, single students. So they'll actually make a group. Like for me, it would be, oh, let's make a group for Josh. And then we'll
Oh,
put
okay.
Josh in that group, and that's Josh's group. Or then you could say, oh, I have three or four students that all need work on vocab. I'm going to put them in my vocab third period group, and then we're going to look at to see how our curriculum, intervention, practice curriculum, and then the progress measures can see how the group is doing as a whole. Okay, so to do groups, you basically click on the student tab. You're going to hit the green plus button there. Down here, you'll go ahead and enter the yellow, by the yellow arrow, you'll go ahead and enter your group name. Once your group name's in, you just click the green check mark.
And
This is
so
kind of, oh,
the
sorry.
group name could just be the student, right?
Yeah, the student, it could be the teacher, it could be, yeah, we leave these fully customizable because we know there's so many different situations that the teachers and educators are using these for that you can really customize it to whatever fits your needs the best.
Okay.
This part's probably the part I think where people get a little confused. So once you create that group, you'll see in the left that it's highlighted black, but the student is on the list is highlighted all white. If you move over to the second picture, you'll see once you click that box, check that box there, it'll make the student line black. That represents that the student is now in the group. If you needed to delete a group, it's same process. You'll just go down into that groups list and just click the red trash can and you click the delete button. When you're sure, it'll ask you that final warning in step 4. This is a permanent delete, so you can't bring a group back, but they are kind of easy to rebuild. You're not actually deleting any data. It's just basically how many people you have within the group. Now that we have students added and we have groups, now that we have students added and we have groups, let's jump back into. The next part is actually doing the benchmarks. So to get these rolling, look at the main page here. So we have 3 seasons. So Easy CBM, we've tracked the national norms from the fall to the spring. So you're going to see about a 3-month period on each season. And we usually have the window ranges to represent the beginning of these seasons. And from a design perspective, usually what the benchmark is going to do is tell you where your student is at compared to just this grade. So if you know, okay, my student was in 4th grade last year, they're in 5th grade this year, I'm gonna give them the 5th grade benchmark because I know that's where they're at. Let's say you had a student, international student, come from somewhere and you didn't have much history and you weren't really sure what grade level they're functioning at. What you can do is rather than use the benchmarks, you can use the progress monitor measure. There's about like, I think a third of the less of the questions, so they can get through the test a little quicker. And then you can kind of use those as little discovery assessments to figure out where they currently land. Um, Once you kind of know, okay, they're functioning at the third or the fourth, I'm going to give them a 4th grade benchmark to see what that is. They're a lot more in depth and can tell you a lot. So if you kind of take that approach as you are assigning these, it's a good way to look at it. We do have a term, and I'll show it to you later, but we do call it off-grade testing. This works great for high school SPED teachers that say, hey, I have a 12th grade, 11th, 12th grade student. I want to test them at the 5th grade level. I'm not quite sure where they land. So we would say, hey, give them a quick progress measure on reading and see where they land. And
Oh,
then once you
okay.
can kind of figure that out, you'll know, okay, I can give them the 5th grade benchmark.
All right,
But
so where are those quick progress measures?
they're quicker, yeah. The benchmark tests are all like can be anywhere from 40 to 75 questions, and the progress measures are usually about 15 to 20. So a lot easier to administer, a lot easier on the student as well. So that's what we usually recommend if you're kind of trying to figure out where they land on the full range. And then once you kind of pinpoint that, you can give it the benchmark to really kind of dive in, zoom in a little farther. We have some good stuff here. We have combined booklets. So you can, if you don't want to have them take them online, you can print out these booklets and do that and let them take it with paper and pencil. We also do have answer keys here for the benchmark assessments. We don't have answer keys for the progress monitor measures, which is intentional. The design team years ago was kind of noticing people were prepping too much and using it to cheat a little bit. So we can help you make a plan for those to kind of show you where to find those answers, but we don't have any of the progress monitor answer keys for those reasons. And as you scroll down, you'll see we have the 6th grade. If you kind of go through, you can pick each different grade. Right now, because our windows are open, you'll see that it is check marked. So it says our windows open and these are available to take online. We'll get into a little bit more, but 3 of these will give you that suggested progress monitoring plan that we'll look at later. But a few of these are just going to be just the benchmark lines. So you can look at their individual reports and see where they land. That would be like the basic reading and math. So let me do this to our account settings. And this is what we're gonna go into the manage settings button. And this is where we'll see our benchmark window settings. Currently, the first thing what you want to do for any fall account prep is get these updated. They don't automatically do it, so you may see these say like 2025, 2026. Go ahead and update those to the 2026, 27 years. As you can see, we do recommend a 20-day window to really get that. If you can test everybody within that 20 days, that's really going to get everyone done, and then you'll be kind of cruising on schedule with what those percentiles lines are going to read as they trend through the graphs. And each season is separate, and for the norms. So let's say you start on August 1st, you benchmark, you'll see that line pop up, and then you'll see the trends going from there. And that will just be that season. So you will see those end in January, and then they'll restart again on January 5th. But these will be the winter norms, and you'll see which way those trend. And then same thing for spring. So once April 1st comes around, you'll see the new spring trends pretty quick. But once you have those all kind of dialed in, you just go ahead and hit save changes. If we jump back into the benchmark tab here, you'll see that those are all check marked now down here, showing you that the window's open. Now to go show you we'll just jump in and take a quick look at what I'm referring to with the trend lines. So if we look at Jimmy here, so this is from last winter, but you can see, so my winter first starting date for the season was January 5th. So, or it might have actually been on the first with the way these are looking. But you can see that's where these lines will start here. So if I had set my winter window to January 19th, we would actually see the lines start here and then start moving forward. So we design team recommends to get this started close to the beginning of the season semester as possible to get these trend lines so you can look at them real quick and know, okay, what percentile are they at? And the overarching goal for Easy CBM is to have the student at or above the 50th percentile before moving on to the next grade level, which would be this gray line here. That's our default line. You can customize these lines as well. If you want, you want to set some higher standards or your school has their own standards. We currently have the yellow set at 40 percentile. That's usually when we're recommending an intervention 40th or below. Between 40 and 50, you can kind of use your own personal knowledge of the student and say, are they, can I just, well, what I'm teaching right now, get them above that. They just need a little work. Or if they're really, if they're really at say 41, do we give them an unique intervention, and get them on to some heavier plan. So next, what we're going to show is how to live score a benchmark test. What uh, these are a little trickier just to find in the program, but as you've noticed, any of our passage reading fluencies, any of our fluency measures are all going to be live time tests. So you can do these off the computer with a stopwatch and print everything out and do it like that. Or you can use this part of the program to score it live, and we have a digital stopwatch. Either way, what this is intended to is just to really show you how to get there so you know what your options are. Okay, and so to enter any scores, you just have to make sure that your benchmark window is open. If the benchmark window that we just looked at is closed, you'll see just a grayed out box and it won't let you enter them. So first thing we'll do is we want to enter some fall scores. So we'll go ahead and click that. We just added our new student, Joey Adams. So what we're going to do is say, okay, we want to do the PRF, which is the passage reading fluency, and we want to do this live. So rather than just entering a total raw score, which we could do just by doing that and clicking save, we're actually going to enter the item level data. So we'll click on the item level data, we'll go to edit the answers, and we'll scroll down a bit here. And now you're seeing the interface at which you can live test. So we'll do the passage text, and you would usually have this printed out so they could read it in front of them. And then we would say, okay, we would start the clock. And as they read, we would say, okay, we have the incorrect one selected. Oh, they missed the word soccer. So we do that as they're reading, and so on and so forth. And then once they're done and the timer runs out, you'll just mark where their last word was, and then click save. Now we go to save scores. You can see now that that was entered in, and it's labeled yellow to let you know that that's item level data. And we always recommend, especially as you're getting towards the end of benchmarking and you're going to be analyzing the data, is to capture the item level data because this will give you more precise data to figure out what the area of need may be. And if you look at here, you can see, oh, we look at basic math. Oh, well, actually, if you had them do paper and pencil, you can actually go in here and say, oh, they picked A, they picked B, they picked C, and so on and so forth, and enter that item level data in there. Or if you're saying, oh, I know they're doing pretty well, and I just need to get the scores in, you can just go here and enter a score in manually. And what's cool is the system will tell you, oh, that's not a score that works. So let's go ahead and enter a score that works and hit save. And now you have both ways to enter your scores there. Now this raw score isn't going to show you what answers they picked. So if you don't, if you don't need that, it's a faster way, but does miss out on that item level data. As I showed you in the main menu, this is where you would print your packets and booklets. If you, for big classes, paper and pencil might be easier for the students to do. Maybe you don't have tablets, that sort of thing. So this is a good option to use if you need to do paper and pencil administration. Cool. And so this will be our slide on the can I use Easy CBM with high school students? Yes, you can totally. We have a ton of SPED high school teachers around the US using it. And basically, as I mentioned earlier, rather than use the benchmark tests to kind of figure out where they land, you can use the progress monitor measures. And what we call this strategy, we call this is off-grade testing. This works for any type of discovery. If you need to figure out where they're at, what grade level they're functioning at, you can give them one of these, a progress monitor measure in one of the subjects that we have, and it will give you a good idea of where they land. Let's say you give them a fifth grade and they land at the 10th percentile. It's not, didn't do very well. You can just drop down to the fourth grade and then give them a fourth grade level measure and see how they do on that. And then kind of you stair step your way up and down to pinpoint where they are. And then after that, if you really needed to benchmark test them, you can, or you can move into just using the progress measures to see, to test whatever intervention curriculum that you apply for grades 9 through 12. And if you need any tips on it, we do have a lot more details on how to use the strategy, when to use it, what measures to use in the Teacher Help Center. Just reach out to us and we can send all that to you. There we go. Back to the enter your benchmark raw score. So we just did that. That was what we did with that 20 without doing the item level data. Make sure to always click save scores when you're done. If you don't do that, it won't save. Here's a good the walkthrough real quick on entering the item level data. And this slideshow will be available at the end. I'll email it to everybody and then we'll have it at customer support if you need it. So you can use this later to follow along as well. Awesome. So that brings us to the whole point of taking the benchmarks to the benchmark scores report. This is probably, I think, my favorite feature on the Deluxe and probably our most used, I would say. So we click on the reports tab. We're going to scroll down and it takes you right to the benchmark scores. Now, this is a good example because you can see, so we have entered the passage reading fluency score for Joey. We just did that and we see 85. And we haven't done the vocab or the proficient reading yet. And we're seeing, oh, why isn't there a suggested progress monitoring plan yet? Oh, well, that says it says insufficient data. So one of the main things to keep in mind is that in order to get this recommendation, you're going to have to the student will have to do all three of these specific tests. And then it'll say, let's switch it to math. Okay, they'll need to take basic math and proficient math to get this suggestion. And same thing with Spanish. They'll have to do all three of these Spanish benchmarks to get this. If you only do one, not going to see it. If you're going to do two, not going to see it either. But this is really great. So if we kind of look around here, Jimmy, we got Jimmy proficient reading. He's in the 99th percentile on this one and with the score of 20, which is the highest score. You'll see here that we have all of our risk ratings. 40th percentile is yellow, and that's going to kind of be the one you're looking at, to where it's going to be, okay, we probably should start thinking about an intervention here. Red, definitely. White, 40 to 50, kind of use your personal knowledge to feel what intervention is proper, or maybe just some extra practice. 90th to 100th green, yeah, they're good to go. So you can kind of, as you go through, you can kind of see all these historical scores. Um, and all the different seasons as well. I don't have much data entered for these guys yet, so we'll head back to this example. But this is a really good example of what it's going to look like when you have a full set. You can see here, so we have a student here, Bella Brown, and has a red, a yellow, a red. So we think the risk rating here is high. And then it's going to say, oh, every 2 weeks with passage reading fluency. So basically what this is suggesting is we know passage reading fluency is the area of need, kind of broad, but it's a good starting point. Then the teacher would say, meet with the IEP team or whoever's defining the intervention curriculum, kind of build that out and say, all right, let's get the student practicing. And then once you have 2 weeks of practicing, you can administer a passage reading fluency progress measure and see where they're at and see if that practice is having a positive effect. We usually recommend doing three measures. So this would be get them on the practice. Every 2 weeks, you do a measure, progress measure, and then at the third one, you can look at and say, okay, where are we? Should we readjust our intervention? Is it working or not? This is just a quick list of all of those combinations that you will need to get that suggested progress monitoring plan to populate there. So this is just good to keep on the side to know, oh, okay, I know if I want this, I'm going to have to administer these three to the kindergartners, or a second grade. I'm going to need to administer these three to get that suggested progress monitor plan. Cool. Okay, so next, this is really important for finding even more data that's going to help give you a lead on what area the student needs help in. So we'll jump back in to our account here. And what we're going to do, so from the dashboard, you would just we're going to reports. And here we're going to go to the group reports. Now, earlier, as we talked about the importance of groups, this was one of the main ones. Number one, to grab this item level data. And then number two was to assign online progress measures. But the biggest thing we want here is something. So let's go down and look at proficient reading. So we scroll down, we get a bar chart here that kind of gives us a cool comparison. We get a cool little line graph. But the best part of this, and this does this for the math as well, is here you can see the type, the question type, and it will tell you if they got it correct or not. So what I can do is click on the type and have it organize it all. And we say, oh, cool, look. So we had quite a few evaluative type questions. How did they do? Okay, Jimmy, we got 1 of 1, missed these. Oh, they got the inferentials right, but missed some inferentials. Most of the literals were good. See, okay, here's a good one. So if we're looking at the math types, you can see, okay, number ops and fractions, Christina missed both of those. So this just really gives you a better idea on what exact type of questions they're missing, and helps you, gives you a better lead as you go into these IEP team meetings to figure out what type of intervention curriculum you're going to be using. And you can see we have some written out directions here, and then we can always help guide you through this if you ever get lost and need to find this. And this is, again, to see this, if you have to enter the item level data. If you enter a raw score, this will just be blank. It will just have the scores. It won't actually have the exact question details. Cool. And next, so we'll look at individual reports. Individual reports are always great. It has everything in it. It has benchmark scores, progress monitoring measures. This is where you can go and click on to see what exact questions they missed and see the correct, incorrect answers. Yeah, so start your dashboard, reports tab. And we want to click on individuals here. And let's go to Jimmy. I think he's got a lot. So the first thing you'll notice at the top here, you have three different kind of options of how you want to view the data, which is pretty cool. And then you can look at if you have if you've been using the program for years or you've had the same student for years, and you can look at all data, last year's data, and this year's data. As you can see, we don't have much this year because we just started today. But this is cool. Let's pull up all data so we can see the full range. If you're looking for something specific, especially if you know this list is going to be long, you can go through and pick each different measure type here, and that will filter out a lot of the options to look at. So if you're looking for something specific, it's a good way to find it. So if we look here, we see passage reading fluency. Let's say, okay, I want to know, okay, what they got correct and incorrect. What we can do is come down here just to the right of the title, click on view, and this will take us to all the item level data. If we jump back in, let's check out Christina. And let's go, okay, so we have some basic numbers and ops. And this is what a graph should probably look like at the end of the year. And we'll get into to more how we're going to get them to look like that. Let's click on view. Cool. So now we'll take us to the exact test that they took. And this can be really helpful if you're using these to kind of adjust what your intervention curriculum could look like. We can see, okay, they got these correct. Oh, there's an incorrect one. So this is nice. You can take a little bit deeper dive on the specifics of what the student is missing. One cool marker you'll see, so passage reading fluency for winter. Anything with that seasonal designation in the name is going to automatically be a benchmark. So you can see it there. And then if you scroll further, we know, okay, we're getting down anything with like the title, the magnifying glass, visitors to the forest. We know these are progress measures and we can jump in and take a look. This is a good one. So next, we'll show you how to download a benchmark PDF. And what these are really great for are like showing to the parents. Quick note, these do reset on the July 1st rollover in the summer when the system rolls over. So if you do need to print these and give these to parents after July 1st, we'll send you out a little warning and reminder to let you know that these only reflect the current year's data. So you'll need to get those printed. To do these, we're going to go in the same place. So we'll start at the dashboard. You're going to click on the report section. And then we're going to go back to the individuals tab. And rather than clicking directly on the name to go see all the reports, we're going to slide over here, past goals interventions, and we'll just click on this download a PDF. We open that. Now you can see, obviously it's blank because we haven't done anything this year, but that's going to pop it there. And then you can save, download that, do what you will. Okay, cool. So that's it for session one.